The old Yamaha TTR250 that had a cracked frame. It's back in my shop again. But it has a different crack this time. This time in the gas tank. We're going to come up with a solution.
This is pretty much the worst video ever made.
Napoleon, like anyone can even know that.
Hello my friends, and welcome to Tom's Tinkering and Adventures. Today we're going to be working on this Yamaha TTR250. Oh, I don't remember the year, 2001. They only made these a couple of years here in the States, and surprisingly they weren't a very popular bike, although it's a great bike. I worked on this one a few times, I think, in some videos, so hopefully I'll try to remember to link them, but let me show you the initial thing that we worked on majorly on this, and then we'll go over some stuff on it. So a buddy of mine bought this bike pretty cheap. I don't remember what he paid, 500 or 700 or 1,000, I don't remember, but it had a rusted out and cracked frame right here. And a friend of mine helped me weld that up. We came up with a solution, and he welded it, and man, I don't know, was that 2-3 years ago? Still holding, so thank you to my buddy for helping out on that. But the guy who owned it sold it to another rider. We've all become mutual friends. And she, a female rider, she has had this bike for a while, and I've done some work on it. I put a new, whatever you call this, control pod on this side here for the dual sport kit, and I installed a speedometer. This is off some 80s Yamaha or something, but it's just nice to have. But anyway, it has a couple issues right now, and one of them is this tank. I think this bike spent a lot of time outside before she had it, and there's all kinds of little micro cracks all over this tank, but they're developing into bigger cracks, and fuel is coming out of it. Now, since this bike wasn't immensely popular, there's not a lot of options out there for aftermarket tanks. There's one in Australia, it costs about $500. But doing some research online, people have been adapting different tanks to these. And I happen to have a tank that a friend of mine gave me. And it's just been laying around here. And it's off of a Suzuki DR650. Now this is a metal tank, not as good for off-roading perhaps, because, you know, you could dent it, but the price is right. It's free. It does not have the same kind of mounts that the stock tank has. The stock tank bolts up here, right up there, and in the back it's held on. Kitty. Okay. In the back, it's held on with like a rubber strap down to that right there. So overall, this tank looks like it'll work, and it's not going to be exactly right, but if we can get the seat where it needs to be, which is pretty close right now. I mean, I'm just setting everything here with one hand. Let me set it up the best I can, and I'll bring you back. All right, at this point, the seat is located in the back. There's a little clip on the bottom of the seat that goes into the frame of the motorcycle, and then there's another little tab that's supposed to slide into this stock tank right here. That one we're probably not going to be able to utilize, but this thing is just sitting on here right now. And overall, it's not bad. I can probably bring this tank up a little bit like that. Lift it up in the front a little bit. So we'll be about right there. The fit isn't perfect, but the handlebars should be able to turn all the way once I get this lifted up. So we just have to come up with some mounting solutions. So what I was thinking, the way this tank mounts, it has some little like C-channel cups on the side of the tank. I'll take it off and I'll show you. There they are right there. And on the frame of the stock bike it has probably like little chunks of steel coming out that the rubber pucks sit on, and then this thing just slots into there, and then it bolts in on the back. So what I'm thinking I'm going to have to do is I'll make some brackets, maybe out of like some flat stock that come up, and then I'll mount some sort of rubber something on there for these to go into. So let's take a look at my stock of parts I've got laying around. So I keep everything, bad old habit, but this is all a bunch of rubber bits and pieces off of motorcycles and other stuff, and I found this in there, and this is probably one off of a motorcycle. Like I said, I'll have like a little piece of metal tube sticking out, and that'll stick onto there. And that one's maybe just a little bit too small, but pretty close to what we need. I might have to hit up the hardware store and see what they have, but this could get us started. Looks like I might only have one in here. I can dump all this out and see what I can find. So I found these two and all this stuff. They're both about the same size, maybe just a little bit too small, but might be enough to get us started. There and there. And like I said, a piece of flat iron or aluminum, whatever I've got, off of there down to here. I have to figure out the length and then bolt those in wherever these need to sit. So I thought I had a whole bunch of flat stock around, but I couldn't find it, so maybe I've used it all up. But I found this one that has a bunch of slots cut into it, and that might actually be really nice for setting this up, because what I could do is bolt it on here like this. And these might have to get bent. Might have to get bent out a little bit so that it fits properly on here. But what I could do is I could put the rubber bit on there, and then I could slide it up and down on here and find out exactly where I need, and that'll kind of take out the guesswork out of this a little bit. So I'm going to try to figure that out. Figure out a way to attach this. Just drill a hole through it maybe, and put a bolt through here onto here, and I can slide it like that to get it exactly where we want it. There's the first temporary bracket up in there, and this is about the best position I can get this tank and still be able to move the steering all the way through. You can see it gets really close to these clamps that are holding this aftermarket headlight on. This one actually touches a little bit. It's got these hose clamps, and the edges of them come out, so I put zip ties on them. I can push it over a little bit to this side, which will probably have to happen anyway. But I think this might work. Now, we have to figure out a way to get this mounted on here. So I'm thinking possibly I could make a bracket here and maybe go into that hole right there. So I'll see what I've got laying around. I might have a piece of something big enough to do that with. I have the seat bolted in the back, and it's in the little tab in the front. And as you can see, we get full movement. It's pushed just a little bit to the left side. Once I build a tab for that side with the little rubber puck on it, I'll try to center it. So I'm going to run to the hardware store. I need to get some strap iron, something about like this, probably about a foot of it, and I'll see if I can get some bigger rubber pucks, something a little bit fits better than those do. And let me take the seat off and I'll show you what I built at the back of the tank. It's just my initial offering here. Now it's not pretty, but it's what I had laying around. I had this metal strapping here. I think it's similar to like the Hurricane straps around the water heater there, but this has holes in it. Actually, here, it's right over here. This kind of stuff right here. And I just cut a chunk off, and I'm going to turn you upside down. There you go. I bolted it right in there, and that's where the little center tab on the seat fits. And I had to custom bend it, and I wasn't able to get some very good rubber bits in here for isolators, but the ones I have will work for now. Nothing's tight yet. It's just kind of on there. But I think a little bit more work and I'll have it. So let me run to the hardware store and get some supplies. I need to find a cap for this too. I purchased some aluminum strap metal here, and I couldn't find any little rubber bumpers or anything that were a better size than these, but I think these are going to be fine. This is what I've come up with here. Same thing on the other side. Well, not quite the same. You can see I had different rubber bumpers, but whatever. And this piece here, I'm probably going to cut that bolt off. And I have these little captive nut things, whatever, nut plates I think they're called, in there. And I located, there's my bucket full of bolts. Whew. I got these. They have a little shoulder on them. They're not the best. Maybe I will figure out something. I've got all kinds of spacers in here. Maybe I can find something that will fit in the tank in here to help. But those collars on those kind of go right into here. So let me set this up and I'll show you how I can put the tank on and off. I took some of this foam rubber stuff for like putting around copper lines, and I put that on here to kind of support the tank. So here's the tank install. Just have to watch where these rubber bumpers go into here in the front. It just takes a little bit of doing. Slide it up into there. These bolts in the back. Pretty secure. We can go lock to lock. And I'll install the seat next. And there's the seat installed. It doesn't catch on this front tab on the tank, but it's held up there pretty good and it lines up pretty decent. Not too much to complain about. I stopped at AutoZone and I got this 6023 cap, which I thought might work on here, but this diameter is too small. Looks like it would be okay, but it's not wide enough there to engage into there. So I do need to do some more research to find out if I can find a cap like this or just buy a DR650 cap. Well, there you go, the Yamaha. And you know, if you got a bike that parts are hard to come by or they're very expensive, sometimes you got to think outside of the box. I think I read people are using Honda tanks on here. I just happen to have the Suzuki tank. Maybe not ideal, but the price was right. And I have some of this stuff here. So somewhere down the road, after we do some testing on it, we can match it up with the bike or leave it. It doesn't look terrible, and it'll definitely make people say, what is that thing? I don't know, but it looks like it'll work. I haven't tested it yet. The bike has some other issues that we're going to work on, maybe in the next video, maybe a couple videos down the road, we'll see. But use your brain, save some money. All right, if you're liking my content, give me a thumbs up, leave a comment down below. If you're not already a subscriber, please consider doing so. Thank you very much for watching. Get out there and find your adventure. Adios.